Hi everyone. Dr. Josephine still not yet joined the session. So, let's go to the another session. Please join another session. Once Dr. Josephine will be on, so we can start another. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for understanding. Have a great day. I'm introducing Dr. Josephine Harris. Dr. Josephine Harris is an entrepreneur who encourages change through a transformational message of professional and personal growth using inspiration, facilitation, coaching, and other dynamic mechanisms that allow me to encourage, inspire, and empower individuals of all cultures. Additionally to entrepreneurs, she had experience as a behavior analyst with a demonstrated history of working in the non-profit organization management industry. She is skilled in behavioral disorders, Microsoft Word, case management, psychological assessments, and interventions, as well as professional certified empowerment life coach and licensed notary public in the state of Washington. This is the introduction of Dr. Josephine Harris. Thank you. Hi, Dr. Josephine. We cannot hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, but we cannot see your video. Yay, you're here. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
This
Good.
is Melinda.
Hey, is it live virtual?
Yes, yes, yes.
So you guys already have my presentation?
I think so. You have shared your pre-recorded session with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want me to play the
Yes.
pre-recorded session?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes. Just give me a moment.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank everyone for coming in. Hello from wherever you are, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Josephine Harris. I am a mental health professional and the CEO of Common Minds LLC. I want to thank WYN Conferences for giving me this opportunity to present. Today, my topic is going to be talking. I'm going to be talking about the stigma of mental health in the Black community. Next slide, please. On the agenda is going to be the presenter, background information, research question, hypothesis, the theory of pain behavior, breaking the stigma in the Black community, the key points in the recommendations, and a take a stand. Next slide, please. Hello, as you know, my name is Dr. Josephine Harris. I am the CEO of Common Minds LLC. I am a psychotherapist, an international psychologist. I am also a certified mental health coach where I create a mental health platform for women, particularly military spouses, to discover their inner self through personal and professional growth. I also have a background in I have also have a background as a PhD in psychology, where I landed my idea from that is advocating for mental health and building and breaking the stigma in the mental health in our community. Next slide, please. With the background in the black community dealing with mental health and the negative stigma that it surrounded negative stigma surrounding mental health, a preliminary research has revealed that in the black community is underutilized volunteer mental health. Research also revealed that in the black community, a- acknowledging in mental health is exceptional challenging task where Black America experience a wide range of attitudes toward mental health treatment. There are also a stigma surrounding mental health illness that prevents some people from getting the help that they need. The most important thing to consider is how the stigma and the forces that create the stigma may make it difficult for individuals like myself to reach out to mental health professionals. There are three research questions that I looked at or that I researched that I came across and that I came up with. One is what is stigma in the mental health illness? Another one is what the research find out about mental health. What are the factors that influence mental health in the Black community? One of the things that I found out is in the Black community there are serious stigma that implies that mental health problem is a sign of weakness and should be hidden from others. Beliefs about mental health also have formed through experience, culture, tradition, form, education, and stories from friends and family also play a huge part in the stigma around mental health in the Black community. Much of the research has found that Black community has a high degree of stigma associated with mental illness. Like in the 1900s, the public opinion polled and found that 63% of Black Americans believed that depression was a personal weakness, and only 31% believed that it was a health problem. Other studies have found that in the Black community, it's more included to say that mental illness is associated with shame and embarrassment. Individuals and families in the Black community also are more likely to have the illness. However, individuals in the Black community may be more likely to believe that since they have survived so much adversity, they're strongly and no one has the right to tell them that there's something wrong with them. And since they view mental health issue as a weakness, I also found out that some research has examined these beliefs that mental that examine these beliefs of Black women that are scarce. But one study that I found out that Black women were more likely to believe that individuals develop depression due to having a weak mind, poor health, troubled spirit, lack of self-love. Not all indicate a high degree of stigma among Black women. And I think that's one of the very thing that I'm passionate about is helping women in our culture deal with mental health because the stigma has increased over the years, but some over the years has better in dealing with mental health as well. But one of the studies that I found out, one study was conducted in 2009. They found that most Black women didn't have a stigma attached to mental health. But however, researchers also found that women understood the causes of mental illness, accurately identified many of these symptoms, were aware of the potential consequences, and believed that mental illness could be managed with treatment and personal growth. Another question came up is about the cultural factors, the social pressure, the stereotypes that may influence beliefs about mental health in the Black community. Additional issues like systematic racism and the lack of culture-sensitive treatment by providers may also play a role in the way Black community views mental illness in the treatment. And here's a quote that here's a quote that I like with dealing with mental health in the Black community. It said you need so much more than mental health or well-being in this era of discrimination, invisibility, and psychological welfare. You need empirical well of protection from your mind, and that's from Ronald Walker. That is a most powerful quote about mental health because you got to realize you are not alone. Black mental health matters, and 1 in 4 suffer from mental illness. Dealing with mental health in the Black community, I came up with the hypothesis of a study that deal with that was done about Wall and Washer and Dodger and Brown in 2013, where they said that Black Americans hold beliefs related to stigma and psychological openness and help seeking, which in turn affect their coping behaviors. And in this study, most of the participants were not very open to acknowledging psychological problems, but they were somewhat open to seeking some kind of mental health services for their mental illness. 30% of participants that was reported in this study was having a health illness or receiving treatment for mental illness. And Black American men are particularly concerned about the stigma that holds on mental health in the Black community. And within this cohort, which is a cohort affects exposure to mental illness and increased knowledge of mental illness are factors that could potentially change beliefs about symptoms of mental illness. Also, in the study, participants appear apprehensive about seeking professional help for mental illness issue, which is consistent with the previous research that I had found it. However, participants were willing to seek out some form of help for that reason in mental health illness. Look at how this percentage proceed with dealing with percentage of mental health in the Black community. We'll look at these numbers, how they proceed with these right here. These numbers right here with 22.4% in the Black community. People living living below poverty is twice like to report serious psychological distress as those living over 2 times the poverty level. Adult Black American males have feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and worthlessness more than the white community. In the Black community, we are less likely to have than white people to die from suicide at all ages. However, in the Black community, the African American teenagers are more likely to report to attempt suicide more than white teenagers, which is 9.8% versus 6.1%. And according to the Stigma 2018 National Survey of Drug Use and Health, 16% of those of Black and African American people report having a mental illness, which is 4.8 million, and that's a large number. With and 22.4% of those report serious mental illness over the past year. 22.4% over the past year, which is 1.1 million people. That's also a high number of a percentage. But look at it like this: major depression episode increased from 9% to 10.3%, which is 10.3% of major depression. That's youth between the ages of 12 and 17, and 6.1% to 9.4% in youth adults 18 to 25%. That's this number right here, which is 9.4%. That is a high number in youth adult ages 18 to 25. And 5.7% to 6.3% in the ages of 26 to 46 years old. Ranges from, this is the range between 2005 and 2018. So these numbers has very increased dramatically dealing with the black community and what mental illness they have, and major depression. And major depression is one of the high percentage of mental illness in the black community. One of the things I look at dealing with how the attitude and the stigma around black community, black in the mental health in the black community deal with. I looked at the theory of planned behavior, and they have three types of theory of planned behavior, which is personal attitude, subjective normals, perceived behavior control. The theory of planned behavior upholds the key assumption contained in the theory of subjective normals, which is personal attitude, subjective normals, perceived behavior control. But more often than that, if our society demonstrates general favorability toward an act, it is highly likely that the individual will think the same. And our intentions largely shaped by the extent of approval and disapproval by family, friends, co-worker, or pretty much any person that is trusted with ourselves or with others or with our social norms. Another thing about the intentions and resultant behaviors of individuals that are affected by the perceived behavior control. When I say perceived behavior control, it's what we think and believe to be our ability to perform and engage in the said behaviors or the norm behavior or conforming to society. To see the literature, it had clear identification factors around these perceived behaviors. It's how we control our environment and the stigma that we put on ourselves as well. Breaking the stigma. In society, we have to learn how to break the stigma of democratic. Why did we make our mental health as important our physical health? Unfortunately, because of the mental health stigma, is how we view our mental health keeps people from ever seeking properly treatment. Just as addressing any physical illness early provides better outcome. So can addressing our mental health. Lack of mental health care is the root of many of the problems facing in our community, like drug addiction, violence, sex abuse, and so many other more issues can all be rooted in mental illness. By properly addressing these mental health issues, we can help one person, one family, and hopefully one community at a time. So we got to start by breaking the stigma. We got to start by looking at breaking the stigma through demographic, social issue, prevalence, attitude, treatment issue, being accessible to insurance, making sure that we have the knowledge, the education to assess different resources to help us through our mental health. We also have to have different treatment issues. Like we have to educate, know that sometimes we have to seek out the revenue of helping so that we know that we are identified as certain social norms. So giving us breaking the stigma through helping educate through treatment provided through educate through different insurance, helping us, giving us resources to sort these mental health issues out. And the key takeaways that you can take from here, you have to remember mental health, mental and substance abuse disorder are treatable. People can do it and do people can and do and recover. Understanding the importance of Black mental health is a must. Take talking about and educating the public about Black mental health matters. Also, be conscious of the word choices that we use. Talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about it to your family, to your friends, to your coworker. Also, seek support. Seek support. If you or your local one needs help, call a 1-800 number to help. 1-800-662-HELP 4357 for free or confidential information and treatment referral. We also have they have a new line that come out with mental health, a new line that just came out with for mental health crisis, which is 988, which is a number that they just been through, make it easier for you to contact them. So if you have a mental health crisis, the number is called 988. You have to be open, discuss, educate you and your family history of mental illness, or even others outside the Black community. You have to educate yourself. You have to be open to people. You have to be open to people in your community, your family members. You have to be open for treatment. You have to be open to seek professional help. Recommendation. One of the things that I came up with recommendation is gather the information. Gather the information. Stigma stems from lack of knowledge. The best way to fight an information gap is by educating others in our community. There are numerous public resources on a different types of mental illness, resources on website for depression and bipolar support alliances, National Alliances of Mental Health Illness, and Mental Health America. Speak up and remain open. Speaking up and asking for help, by speaking up and remain open, you can speak up and asking for help is a weakness, but guess what? Living with mental illness does not define anyone, nor does it limit anyone's ability. As more Black people have been open up and about living with mental illness, the closer we will get to dismantling the stigma in our community. There's a genuine correct found in knowing that we am not the only Black person living with a mental illness, such as celebrities like Taraji Henson, Jennifer Lewis, Janet Jackson, among many others. You have to be open about they've been open about their experience with mental illness, ranging from depression to bipolar. So one of the biggest things we can do is speak up and remain open about it. Talk about it. Another one is believe people. Believe in people when they say they have a mental illness. Battle and is communicating stigma. When someone has a mental illness crisis or expresses stress, tell them to simply pray away or to fix your attitude isn't very helpful. When you tell these things to them, they feel like that you put that stigma on them. So when people tell you that they have a mental illness, believe them. Get them the resources they need. Get them the help they need as well. And doing this, you want to take a stand for mental health. Advocate for yourself. Advocate for mental health. Fight the stigma in the Black community. Fight the stigma in your community. Seek professional help. Come as a community to talk about it, to educate people on the resources, the different resources that they have to help you through your mental health challenges. And I want to thank you all for listening and tuning in. Help fight the stigma in the Black community. Thank you again. My name is Dr. Josephine Harris. I am the founder of Common Minds LLC. You can find me on all social media at Dr. Joe Harris. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Josephine Harris. You can also go to my website at www.commonmindsllc.com, or you can email me at information@commonmindsllc.com. And again, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Um, hi, Dr. Josephine. Can you hear me? Hello. You're on mute. Josephine, you're on mute. Josephine, you are on mute. Can you please unmute and talk?
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Such a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. So, we cannot see you.
I'm sorry. A lot going on in here.
Okay, no problem. Sometimes it will happen. So, thank you so much for your terrific presentation. It's awesome. Very good information about this mental health. And so, we do have a question from our audience. So, here is the question. Mm, so, why mental health care is stigmatized in Black communities?
Wow. It's stigmatized in Black community because as our culture, we don't really when we as we was coming up, we don't really recognize mental health. We always vibe on biblical foundation. So we have to get out of the stigma type and understand mental health is very important as well as physical health. So it's been stigmatized in the Black community for a long time because when back in the day, as you realize as black in the Black community, we always talk about biblical foundation and biblical principle and how we equip to our mental health. So we don't recognize going to a therapist or we don't recognize going to a psychiatrist because most of the time that we thinking that it is typo to have therapy in the Black community. So that's why it's very stigmatized in the Black community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope Dr. Josephine have answered your question. So, yes, if you want to reach Dr. Josephine, so you can reach her Facebook page, LinkedIn profile. So, you can go to her and you can contact her. So, do you have any email ID to contact Dr. Josephine?
Yes, you can contact me at dr.josephineharris@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's
Again,
very simple. It's her name, Dr. Josephine Harris at the rate
the number
gmail.com.
5. Yeah.
Just add at the rate gmail.com to Dr. Josephine Harris. So you can, if you have any questions, so you can email her. She can respond to that. Thank you so much, Dr. Josephine Harris, for being a speaker for the gave a wonderful presentation on WYN conferences stage. So have a great day and bye bye.
Bye bye.
So let's connect with the other speaker. So let's jump into the